Gentlemen, let me introduce you to M Sauter. Thank you for coming, M.
Hey,
Hey guys. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
How are you?
So,
Hello.
M, these are all guys that I've known for like 40 years now. We had an episode last week where we did porters, and it turned into a pretty silly thing, and we ended up crying laughing. So if these guys get out of control, I'm sorry. I apologize in advance.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. Don't worry.
So I was telling them a little bit about, well, first of all, I just want to say welcome to American Craft Beer Channel, Bald Guys Babbling About Beer, episode 3. This week we're featuring stouts, and we have a very special guest with us. M Sauter is here, and she's going to give us like a little background, I guess, or
Sure.
we each got a couple stouts, so we're prepared.
Okay.
And maybe we can just I'm gonna throw it out to you and see what you have to say about them.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, there's a lot to say about stouts. There's all different kinds of stouts. I'm currently drinking. This is an oatmeal stout, not from Rogue. Don't turn around. There we go.
I won't throw us off. That's fine.
Off branding.
Yeah. It's the first glass I grabbed. This is the oatmeal stout from Fox Farm, where I am currently employed in Salem, Connecticut, and it's Woodline, which is the Imperial Oatmeal Stout. Phenomenal stout. 8.1, 8.2% ABV. It's not normally what oatmeal stouts are usually lower. Oatmeal stouts were oatmeal, when you add it to beer, creates this kind of silky mouthfeel. It's a fuller mouthfeel. I actually was just drinking a Treehouse Julius. New England IPAs tend to have oats in them, which creates the silky body and like the fuller mouthfeel that people experience when they're experiencing a New England IPA. Oatmeal stouts have that as well. It creates a fuller mouthfeel, a bigger feel essentially in the mouth. That's why it's called mouthfeel, and a silkiness. Oatmeal stouts also were given to and are still given to lactating mothers, and also to sure, why not?
Is there science behind that?
Apparently there is science. When my cousin had her firstborn, they told her to drink left-hand milk stout. Milk stouts,
Really?
and stouts, yeah.
Nice.
Apparently, it helps with like that. Yay!
Funny, that's what I was drinking when I had a firstborn.
Yeah, me too. that could have helped my wife considerably.
If you were just passed out on the floor, Hank, that would have been good for her.
Oh, we have ground rules.
Right.
So
right.
yeah, but yeah. So oatmeal stouts, it's also like a marketing thing. So it was created in the late 19th century, and it was a beer that was served to invalids and like other people because they were like, oh, it will help you. It's nourishing because there's oatmeal in it.
Liquid bread.
Yeah.
It's like cigarettes used to open up your lungs and be good for your breathing.
Yeah, of course. Or like, Guinness is good for you. That's not an oatmeal stout.
Yeah, right.
It's the same Guinness for strength, that kind of thing.
Wait, Guinness isn't good for you?
I mean, it technically,
John, it is.
It can be. Beer is
Okay.
That's the thing that is beer can be good for you in moderation.
Is there no Easter
I'm sorry.
Bunny?
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
And
Actually, John, you brought up something a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about that, and I'm wondering if M has experienced this. You said that Guinness is different in Ireland. Isn't it?
No.
Yes,
It's not.
That's what they told us at the Guinness factory in Dublin. They said they have to sweeten the beer to appeal to the U.S. taste. That was the explanation.
The
They pulled your leg.
Guinness
We're gonna
beer
get to the bottom of that
is either
tonight.
made in the Guinness beer we get in America is they have a brewery in Baltimore, but they don't brew the stout there. I've met a brewer from Guyana in South America who brewed their extra stout, and what they do is the Guinness brewery in Ireland sends them like these drums of liquid, and then they add it to beer, and that's Guinness. But the brewmaster in Guyana didn't know what was in it. They wouldn't tell him, but he was brewing for Guinness. It was the foreign extras, the stronger stuff, the foreign extra stuff.
Right.
But no, like Guinness it's the same. It can be either lower or higher alcohol depending on the market. Like Bass in the UK, I believe, is lower in alcohol than the Bass we get here. But no, I mean, it's the same. I think we get the Guinness that's brewed in Canada or in Ireland. I mean,
I thought there was a brewery somewhere in the Caribbean. That's what they said.
Yeah, I think they have a brewery in Jamaica.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah, but they definitely said it was a sweeter beer in the U.S. because otherwise it wouldn't appeal to the U.S. But that's just the factory. What do they know?
I mean, I've had Guinness at the factory and I've had Guinness here, and I don't taste a difference. But
All right,
it's been a while. But...
Talk to me about this. Is delicious.
Good. I'm glad you took my advice and you got it. It's delicious.
I would. So if you don't mind, please talk to us about milk stouts.
Sure.
I read a little bit about it, but I'm curious.
Can the lactose intolerant drink a milk stout, or is that off limits?
There's lactose. It's got milk sugar in it. So if milk does bother you, probably best to not drink a milk stout. It's just milk sugar. So what they do is it's a stout. They add lactose. Lactose is sugar that's from the milk. Ale yeast can't break down lactose. Therefore, it's an unfermentable sugar, so it stays in the beer. Lactose creates a fuller body, almost similar to oats. And then that's another thing where, like, if you have those milkshake IPAs or the lactose IPAs now, that's lactose is added specifically for a sweetness, a light sweetness, and a fuller body. So when you have a milk stout, it's just a regular stout, but they add lactose to it.
So is Mackeson kind of the classic or original milk stout?
I believe so. The Maxim Triple X. Yeah. That's from England, and milk stouts are originated in the UK.
You have to be careful around white wool carpets when you're drinking. We have some history with that. Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds. And milk stouts usually lower alcohol. Same with oatmeal stouts.
Right.
The Left Hand is a nitro milk stout. They created their own technology and nitro blanket to have that nitro. Nitro is that's a whole other ball game when it comes to stouts, where there's a creaminess, there's a lower carbonation, so it acts as a creaminess to it. So like how your beer has that perennial or that head on your beer, David, like that constant head retention, that's the nitro holding that in place. Normally, like when you look at my beer, doesn't have that.
Yeah.
So, and that's nitro. And with nitro, with Left Hand, they created the technology, I think in like 2012, 2013, where they could blanket their bottles with nitro and it would stay in suspension. So when you open it, pour it real hard. And then that creates that cascading effect. When you get like a Guinness, there's that widget, the plastic part.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you open the can, then you dump it. That's when the can's open, the widget explodes. And the nitro gets into the beer really quickly. So
this is fantastic. This is like the best stout.
Oh my God, it's so good.
Yeah, that's one of my
I
go-tos.
love Left Hand. Yeah, Left Hand's great. Their beers are phenomenal. The owner, I actually judged GABF, the Great American Beer Festival, a couple panels with the owner of Left Hand. I ended up having lunch with him, and that guy is like just the chillest, nicest person. Eric Wallace, like he was he sat down, he's like, let's hang out. And I was like, oh, okay, owner of Left Hand. Like he was just a really nice guy.
What's his story? What's their background? I don't know much about them.
They're out in Longmont, Colorado, just like a bunch of hippies hanging out, drinking, and then like brewing beer. And then they just got really large, and they were really smart and savvy business guys as well. And just create really phenomenal beers, but also doing innovation. So like that nitro can, they were always being very thoughtful with their beer. I'm really glad that we get it in Connecticut now. So
they're like engineering guys. Background?
I don't remember Eric's background. Like that was last year. I mean, that was not that long ago, about a year ago.
A lot of beers
ago. I mean, you're judging like you're drinking like 80 beers a day. So, but he was a super nice guy. I mean, yeah, it probably would make sense that they be engineers, because a lot of brewers, like owners, that makes sense. That's normally where they come from. Like Rob Todd from Allagash is a engineer. He has an engineering background, so that would make sense. but they've been around forever, you know, like I think the early 90s. So, you know, that's forever in beer time.
Yeah, in the craft beer.
Yeah.
Beer years.
We have a disappearing guest.
I know.
It's the Invisible Woman.
Hey, Em, I have a quick question for you. It's not necessarily stout centric, but is Fox Farm, are you guys canning beer still, or is it just growlers?
No,
Yeah.
we're all we're canning now we're canning twice a week actually.
Okay.
Why?
Because I live near, I'll be able to come and get some.
Yeah,
My neighborhood is delicious. But can you guys sell it out of the brewery up there?
Yeah, we're doing curbside pickup right now. So if you order it online, you can pick it up it's foxfarmbeer.com/to-go. We have some really great stuff right now, including some sours. We've got we have a lot of great can options, a lot of dark options. Oatmeal stout, we have a coffee stout, Czech dark lager, we have a brown ale, a couple IPAs. We have an amazing Kolsch that we just released. We've never brewed that before.
How long has that brewery been open?
3 years.
Okay.
Let me ask you this: is there a particular, like, what are the particular hot spots in the United States for breweries? Is it just like all over, or you mentioned Colorado, I know, and there's a lot up in New England. I mean, is there a particular, other than those that jump to mind? Or?
Now everywhere's a hot spot when it comes to craft beer. I mean, we're in a very great spot. You know, Connecticut always felt a little behind the times for me. That's where I live. So, but we're like, now we have over 100 breweries. So when I turned 21, in 2004, there was 4, and now there's 104. I mean, it's pretty crazy how much we've jumped forward. But you know, you look at Colorado, Oregon, Vermont, San Diego. There's a lot of really great beer scenes now everywhere.
You know what's interesting to me is I always used to think of things as I still kind of do, is things starting out west, like trends start out west.
Mm-hmm.
They work their way across the country. Now there's like this New England IPA phenomenon that I feel like they're doing New England style IPAs all over the place.
Yeah, it's
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know.
Isn't IPA an India pale ale? I mean, it comes from India, right?
Well, it comes from England,
right?
Right, via England.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was.
When did the whole New England IPA style come about?
Probably in like about 10 years ago. You've got The Alchemist in Vermont. You also have Treehouse that started in 2012 or so. Yes, I love that.
Don't forget Trillium.
Yeah, and Trillium.
Yeah.
Trillium, Treehouse, Alchemist to a lesser extent, Heady Topper, people kind of lump in as a New England. I don't think it's a New England IPA.
How do you define a New England IPA?
New England IPA is going to be hazy, lower bitterness. So a regular IPA is probably going to have, you know, a substantial amount of bitterness. Like a West Coast IPA, when you think of like your Pliny the Elders or Sierra Nevada Torpedo or any of the like higher like bitter beers. But then you have lower bitterness because the way that they do it is they'll throw the hops into the beer later. So when you brew beer, you add the hops in at the boil. And if you add them early, you're going to add more bitterness. But if you add them later, you're going to add more flavor. So the New England IPA essentially doesn't really add hops until the like last minute, if that. And then they dry hopping is when you are active, you have active fermentation, or at the end of fermentation, you add hops that are dry into the fermentation tank.
Right.
That creates a lot of flavor. New England IPA is heavily dry hopped, hazy. So it's an addition of a lot of wheat, a lot of oats that create that flavor. The yeast also creates, people add London ale yeast to New England IPAs because that drops out of suspension pretty quickly. And it'll like leave a lot of like haze particulate. So you've got, or it doesn't, switch that. Sorry, I worked like 10 hours today.
We should do a whole nother show on IPAs.
Yeah, me there too.
That's right. We need to rein it in here because we're here to talk about
Stouts.
We had
is there
porters
another
last week, and we weren't all that thrilled. No one was that thrilled with the porters. I think we were having a much better reaction to stouts.
There's some really good porters out there. Back east, if we're talking Connecticut breweries.
That's what I had actually. I had a back east porter.
Can you do a quick comparison between porters and stouts? Like, just what are the different? What's the main difference?
So, porter is going to be lower alcohol. Stouts can be higher alcohol. If you're talking about like the way that I've formulated is through the Beer Judge Certification Program, or BJCP. It's like homebrewers. They basically say that stouts are going to be like 5 to 7%. They're going to be a little more bitter. They're going to be a little darker. Porters can be more brown.
Right, they're similar.
Lower alcohol, usually 4.5 to 6.5. They're very similar to each other.
Stouts are
and they're going to be less
alcohol,
bitter.
you said?
But they're very like. No, stouts can be higher alcohol, usually 5 to 7, whereas a porters can be like 4.2 to 6.5. If we're talking American porter and American stout, basically it's just American ingredients. Porters are a little stronger, a little darker, a little more, dark. That's really all it, and then a little more roasty. So there's going to be darker elements, roasted barley, chocolate malt, black patent malt, stuff like that when it comes to a stout. That's really all the difference. Okay. So, there's a lot of like Hearthbound Porter, which is yes.
I was going to say, do you see like a trend? Because as you're saying that, like I know Dan's drinking a very high ABV stout, and mine's over 10%.
I've got
last week,
16%.
Last week,
Jesus.
Porter I had, but I couldn't even get it down. It was like 12% porter. So do you see like a trend in just like the sort of trying to make everything a really high alcohol content regardless, or is that like waters or whatever?
There was a trend around like 8 or 7 years ago where it was like a bigger is better kind of thing. So you have your Imperial IPAs and they were going to be really, really bitter and really high alcohol, or there was Imperial. So we can talk about Imperial stouts, which is what most you are drinking, which are the stronger version of an American stout. It's just going to be, super dark, super boozy. That's
it's very rich.
Yeah, super rich. A lot of them will add lactose to create, or coffee, or add more like sweetness to it. But that's a whole other style than a regular stout. Imperial stouts tend to be around 8 to 12 plus.
16.
What's yours, Dan? 16
or plus.
16.
That's great.
There's the whole pastry stout phenomenon that's really popular
that's
now.
what they're calling this. Yeah.
With,
how do you feel about that? Do you think it's like a legitimate category, or just kind of monopoly?
Sure. I'm one of those people that you want to drink it and you want to put it in a beer, cool, go for it. Like
beer is good.
Yeah, beer's for everyone. Beer is good. I'm not mad about what people. People are always like, oh, there's like a 12% beer brewed of beer. The Evil Twin Stillwater Collaboration has lobster in it and aged wheat. And I'm like,
that's not a good category.
That's fine. Like you want to brew
the chowder category.
Yeah, like
the piss category.
You want to be experimental with it. I don't know if I'll drink it.
How does that go over?
That's what it tastes like later.
Apparently, it's supposed to be pretty good. That's what people said. They said it was supposed to be pretty good, but I'm, the people really like those pastry stouts. We don't brew our stouts with lactose at Fox Farm. It's not something that we do. We don't add any like sweetness. We do an Imperial stout that's bourbon barrel aged, and we added Amberana wood, and that added this kind of like tasted like a Christmas morning. You got this kind of like allspice, nutmeg note, but everyone was like, "Oh, what it tastes like a donut. Like, what did you add to it?" And we were like, we added wood. Like, we didn't really add any like crazy.
Never had a wood donut?
It was weird, but it's really great. Yeah. Oh. So people get very like particular about what they want in their beer, and that's the thing. That's the beauty about craft beer nowadays is you can find whatever you're looking
for everyone.
There's something for you out there. You want a 16%? Yeah, you want 16%.
This is what they had.
Cool.
I almost balked at it. I was like, I don't know. It's okay. I wouldn't probably go for it again. It's a little heavy and a little rich and a little sweet, but it's pretty good.
Yes, once you get past like 12 or 13%, it's kind of hard to like keep it together.
Yeah, if I'm drooling on the floor in a couple minutes, just ignore me.
We'll let you know.
Well, that is because of the stout. I don't think that's the stout, Dan. I think that's
my personality.
Are you familiar with that brewery? Dan, what brewery?
It's
getting from that brewery. It's close to you.
Kings
right?
County Brewers Collective. They happen to be right down the street from me.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard of them. Their beers are good.
We're kind of spread out all over the place here. We got New York, Virginia, Illinois, Massachusetts. Aaron, could you raise your hand, Aaron? Yes. The one who's holding up the bottle right now. I don't know. What is that? Fudge?
It's called Fudge.
He's a Trillium snob.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Loves Trillium.
I think Massachusetts has the best craft beer in the country. Trillium and Treehouse are sort of consistently rated among the top, right?
How many other parts of the country have you tried, Aaron?
Every other part.
Yeah, he hasn't been to Virginia in a while.
We don't have to talk about that, John.
He certainly enjoyed
John beer at that point.
He certainly enjoyed the beer at that point.
Em, do you consider one area to have better stouts? Trying to rein this back in? Is there or is there just like a scattered amount?
There's so much beer now that it's really hard to like. I couldn't pinpoint. There's some really great like easy to get stouts that are not national, but I like Bell's makes really great Expedition Stout. Their Cherry Stout is really good. That's from Michigan.
I got the Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo Stout, excellent. That's a really great beer. Like I love Bell's. Like you always know
great brewery.
Yeah, when you get a Bell's beer, you're never gonna like. I've never had a Bell's beer and been like, oh, I don't like this. Like their beer is legitimately consistent and easy to find. Most places in the country, they're not everywhere, but a lot of larger breweries make good stout.
Have you ever heard of Mast Landing from Maine?
Yeah, from
Leonard's
Maine.
daughter?
We get that in Connecticut. That beer is
great.
I used to
milk stout.
What's it called? Mast Landing.
Gunner's Daughter milk stout with coffee, peanut butter, and dark chocolate. Wow.
Yeah, they're in Westbrook, Maine. I used to have a friend. They're not together anymore, but she dated their head brewer, who now opened his own brewery at Derivative, which is the brewery right across the street from Allagash. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. It's not overly sweet.
Their beers are phenomenal, and it's really great to see them. They're really small. Like when I went to visit them, it was really small, and he like walked me through all the beers and whatnot. And then all of a sudden they were in Connecticut, and I was really excited because I like everything that they do. Their beers
What's
are
the name of the brewery, Mike?
Mast, like a mast on a ship. Mast Landing Brewing Company.
Mast Landing. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop by on the way up to the cabin.
There you go.
Em, in my experience with you, I don't think that I have once seen you not like a beer that you've tried.
Well, I don't really talk about the beer I don't like.
Good policy.
The ones when we were at Gathering at the Bines.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed with the fact that you were able to pretty quickly delineate what it was that you thought it would pair well with. Even the ones that you weren't thrilled with, I could tell maybe you weren't thrilled with, but you knew that there was an audience for it. You knew that there were palates out there for it. Yeah. And you kind of knew what they would appreciate with it. I was wondering if we could go around and the guys, whoever hasn't shown which beer they're drinking, if you could just comment on some of the beers the other guys have here. Like, I don't know if you saw what Joe was drinking. Joe, did you show your beer?
Yeah, the one I'm drinking now is Thimble Island Coffee Stout.
Okay.
Oh, nice. Down in Brantford, yeah.
Yep.
And
the other one I have, but I haven't opened, is from Kinsman Brewing in Southington, a roast coffee stout.
Oh, nice. It's Kinsman's. That's in Southington. I live in New Britain, so it's like 20 minutes away. And it's on my to-do list. I've heard really, really good things about Kinsman and what they're up to. So.
Yeah, my niece works there. She
Oh, cool.
brewers there. Yeah, Maddie O'Neill.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's been. I don't really go to other brewery. I mean, I do, but like it's not something that I'm usually either drinking Fox Farm beer or people bring us beer, so I like kind of pilfer off of that. Or I really like my local liquor store is Harvest in West Hartford, and I know their owner, and he's just like a really great guy. So he'll like pick stuff for me to drink. He's like, I think you'd like this. So that's always really nice to have such a good relationship with your package store owner.
How do you narrow it down? I have trouble.
Yeah, there's a lot out there now.
There's just so much.
Overkill.
Yeah, what I do is you either kind of like go bank on the classics. So you're like, oh man, like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, your Allagash Whites, that kind of, or like your left-hand milk stouts where you go back to something familiar, or you go to the brewery and you try their beer and kind of, or you take a gamble. You just make sure that you find a store that treats their beer correctly, and you look at packaging dates, because there's a lot of old beer out there. That's really the best. And I love that my package store Harvest, every beer is kept in the cooler, and that's going to keep the beer fresher longer. So
I actually wanted to ask you about that. I was thinking about whether
Sure.
I went and picked up my stouts today, and I was thinking, should I refrigerate these or not?
Short answer.
Well, with stouts and beer, you should always refrigerate for the most part. You can cellar temp to like 5 degrees or 50 degrees if you want to keep it in the basement for long periods of time. That's totally fine. Really, refrigeration is about hop stability. Like if you buy an IPA off the warm shelf and you don't look at the date, and then you dry it and it tastes like cardboard or shoebox, that's old, and you'll get a sweetness. With stouts, there's not a hop to it. It's more roast malt, and that can probably has a year-long stay. So you really have to worry about porters and stouts. I don't normally look at the date when it comes to those types of beers. It's not something that I will. Obviously, I'm one of those weirdos that looks at every date, but when it comes to darker beers like that, or stuff that's
This was canned yesterday.
Yeah, I'm the person in like the store that's like,
Nice. That's fresh.
That's pretty good.
This was decanned today.
Decanted today.
Okay, so next week we're going to be doing lagers.
Nice. I already got mine, David.
Oh, you got yours?
Oh, that can run the gamut. There's a lot of lagers out there.
Yeah, that sounds like a 2-part episode, Dave.
Yeah.
I just want to get like a suggestion for next week.
Well, actually, why don't we ask M?
I mean, lager, you can drink.
Is there a subcategory
You
of
can
lager?
drink anything.
That's a good question.
There's German lagers, there's Czech lagers, there's German lagers, there's American lagers. Most lagers are German, but German lagers can run anywhere from a Helles, like a light lager.
That's what I'm drinking now.
Yeah. Oh, Dovetail. Yeah. I love Dovetail.
Yeah.
Dave.
Stout night.
But I mean,
Who invited Jim?
Pat.
I just ordered the lager shirt that Dovetail did, where it's lager but in American Sign Language, and all the money went to the American Council for the Deaf, because they do an ASL tour at Dovetail in Chicago.
Cool.
That's
which
cool.
is really, really
Did you
cool.
know that?
Yeah.
I didn't know about the sign language tie, no, but
You just like the beer.
I like the beer. Yeah.
You're doing
Yeah,
the
these
right
guys
thing.
are they're neighbors. They're back to back on the
Are you
same
drinking?
street.
Are you drinking? Oh, you're drinking Beguile as well?
But yeah, not mixed, of course, but
The blend.
No, I have friends. Yeah, I have friends that work at Dovetail, and their lagers are phenomenal. I mean, that's the thing about lagers is Dovetail doesn't brew just lagers, but they brew everything from like a light lager, like a Helles, which is a golden color, to all the way to like they do a smoked double bock. You know, so that's the thing. Like lagers are such a great subset of beer. I mean, it's like ales and lagers. I mean, the only thing that separates them is yeast and time, but there's a lot to dig in when it comes to lagers. Right now at Fox Farm, we have a Czech dark lager, which is very similar to a porter. We have a Rauch beer, which is a smoked dark lager, and we have a Kolsch, which technically a Kolsch is kind of that weird. It's fermented warmer than a lager would normally be fermented, because it's about fermented about 60 degrees versus 50 degrees for a regular lager. But then it's lagered. Lagered means to store in German. So it's you crash the temperature to about 32, 35 degrees Fahrenheit for anywhere to about a month to 2 months plus. So we have a Kolsch right now that we just released that tastes really great. We're very, very, very particular about lagers at Fox Farm. We take the utmost care and tradition when it comes to them, because they take a lot more time than an ale. So yeah. So
I didn't know that.
you can really run the gamut when it comes to lagers. I mean, you could drink Bud Light, or you can drink an Eisbock, which is distilled. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Bud Light.
I still like it.
Yeah,
Yes, there is. There's something wrong with Bud Light.
On a summer day when
You can say them.
a whole bunch of them.
How about this?
That'd be good.
And if you have it
PBR, yeah.
in a cooler on a boat is the only time you can drink that, Dan.
Okay.
Cheers.
Fair enough.
30 of them.
Can I ask another stout question?
Sure.
Is there a particular glass we should be drinking stouts from?
No, I mean, if you're drinking, no, I mean, it really doesn't. When it comes to stouts, I mean, the classic beer that when I'm as a beer educator, we usually suggest to drink out of something like this, like a tulip,
Right.
or this kind of like footed glass. But when it comes to stout, I mean, it really depends on the stout. If you're drinking Irish stout, you're going to drink out of like a Guinness glass, like that one, which is an Irish tulip, like that one. Or, I mean, that's really up to you when it comes to drinking out of a stout. Like I drink most of my glasses out of this one. I mean, this is just the unfooted version. Higher alcohol stuff, you definitely want to put in a smaller glass, like this. But
why is that?
When it comes to stouts,
The alcohol evaporates.
I mean, it's more just for like, alcohol. It's more for like moderation. If you're into that.
Mono what?
For that.
Wait, let me write that word down. What is the M?
Yeah. MODERATION.
Yes, it's called profit margin in
I'll have
bars.
to look that up later.
Hey, M, what's the next big beer trend that we haven't heard of yet?
If I knew, I would invest in that. A lot of people are saying lager. A lot of people are saying lagers. That's the hope for the industry, and lagers are becoming really, really popular with they call them crispy boys. People who really like lagers. Yeah,
Because they're crisp.
Yeah, crispy.
What is that? Is that like meatheads? What is that?
And it's just like a crispy
like
beer.
Lager bros.
But a lager has
boy.
a huge range, right?
We're getting dangerously close to the ground rules.
Yeah.
I really
Careful
like.
now.
There's a Brooklyn brewery does a winter lager that's like almost like a stout or a porter, but I really like it.
Yeah, I mean, lagers have a huge range. and that's the best part about lagers. And a lot of people are like, Hellas's are really popular, Pilsners, German Pilsners, Italian Pilsners, which are just dry hopped, essentially German Pilsners, like Firestone, Walker, Pivo Pilsners, kind of an Italian Pilsner. So that's kind of where we're heading. I
have kind of a dumb question, but
I don't know.
Pilsners and lagers, are they like from the same family? Are they? No.
Yeah, a Pilsner is a lager.
It is a lager.
So,
Pilsner is a lager.
Yeah. So a lager. So there's ales, and there's lagers. Lagers, and then a Pilsner is a style. So just like a stout is an ale, a Pilsner is a lager.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So Dave, I think we got to do different types of lager, different weeks.
Right. Yeah. We can't
You
just
should
do
have
lager.
a Pilsner night.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, we should do Pilsner
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
Cool. Do you have a favorite Pilsner? Domestic, American Pilsner?
One that's really easy to get is Prima Pilsner from Victory. Excellent Pilsner.
That's good.
I love Pivo from Firestone Walker. That's a great Pilsner. Those are the two that jump out to me right now. It's just really great, easy to get. Pilsners. The Bell's makes Lager of the Lakes, which is their Czech style Pilsner. The difference between a German Pilsner and a Czech Pilsner is a Czech Pilsner is going to be made with Czech ingredients. So Saaz hops, softer water, Moravian, like different malt. Then a German Pilsner is going to be made with German hops, Pilsner malt, usually drier and a little more bitter and a little lighter. Czech Pilsners tend to be a little darker, more golden than a German Pilsner. So
yeah. Thank you.
Those are the different. So, oh, you're welcome. But I really like the Bell's Lager of the Lakes is their Czech Pilsner. It's in a can, like a 6-pack. That beer is really, really good.
What is the Two Roads Cruise Control? That's a lager, right?
That's their Helles. Yeah.
It's so it's a Helles lager.
Once. Yeah. So a Helles is essentially, so when like you look at the golden lagers, there's Pilsner, Helles, Kolsch, and Helles is just less hopped, and it's from Munich. So the malt is really the flavor component that drives it. Pilsner, the hops control it. The hops are the flavor driver. Kolsch, the yeast is the flavor component because it's fermented warmer. So there's like a fruitiness that has when it comes to Kolsch. So it's each one of those things, there's a different driver when it comes to flavor. So a Helles is just the malt is the driver. You're going to get more like cracker, less hoppy, not as dry.
Mine says malty, floral, refreshing.
There you go.
And it says that, but is that what you're tasting? Like, that's.
I believe virtually everything I read.
I'm terrible at being able to separate, like the notes and things like that. Is that?
You're in the wrong business.
Yeah, I'm in the wrong business, I guess. I don't know.
Nice grapefruits, John.
Thanks. You need more practice, Dave. You just need more practice.
Yeah, you're not drinking enough.
You really aren't drinking enough. That's all you have to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to tell you.
Just freaking forget about moderation, all right? Don't even.
Right. Yeah.
Don't bring those 4-syllable words into here.
I need to get to work.
That's just a vocabulary word. Wow.
Well, Em, I want to thank you for coming into our room.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
And I really appreciate.
Yeah, that was.
Does anybody
great.
have any last questions for Em? Because she's got to get up really early.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm exhausted.
And I know that we've already gone over, but
will you do this again sometime?
Right. That's totally fine.
Can you do it again sometime?
I mean,
That'd
within moderation. I'll come back. Yes,
there's that word again.
That word again.
Tomorrow night we're not busy.
Jim shows up once every 35 years, so we're not asking that.
Wait, let me
Thank
think
you
about
so
doing
much.
some
Really
stuff.
appreciate it.
Oh,
Yes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks, Sam.
Thank
thanks,
you.
That was
Sam.
great.
Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it was really
Have a
nice.
good night.
Yeah, it was really nice to meet all you guys.
Night, Em.
See you later.
Likewise.
We'll
Thank
be
you.
here.